So the paintings became this, in my head, they're these like records, this like documentation of that experience happening. That opened a lot of doors for me in thinking about visual art. It can show like a culmination of research versus something like a paper or presentation. I've been really fortunate to be in a couple of the UVU student shows, and my last semester I became the gallery assistant for the art and design department under Jason Lanigan. He's like the sculpture area head and the associate chair of the department, and he had a kind of an open slot for the 6th floor gallery and asked if I'd wanted to curate a show for it. I was super eager to jump at that, and he gave me so much freedom in planning which artists I wanted to pull works from, what the theme should be, and how that could relate to students and why that'd be important for students to see. Curation can really be a proponent for community engagement with the arts. Being an artist myself, I think that gave me kind of a unique lens. I have experience in seeing how works communicate with each other in a way, and they communicate to the viewer different things when they're in context with each other. Working with the Women's Success Center for the exhibition I curated was really an amazing, eye-opening experience. I learned about all the opportunities that are around us that I hadn't really considered before. Memory has become really important to my art. I think all of my art has been about memory. It's interesting to kind of try and find where that comes from, because that kind of becomes what the art is about, is like, why am I interested in this? A lot of it has to do with the ways I was brought up and feeling so connected to that, but also disconnected from who I am now. And that can be really kind of complex, confusing feeling. So memory became a way to kind of connect to my past in a different way. It's like autobiographical experience. It's objective in so many ways, but it's also so completely subjective. Memories can change all the time, and our feelings about them can change. And so that kind of duality is so interesting to me, that this thing can exist on both these levels. So I just feel like that line of inquiry is just so rich, and so it's become like a wonderful concept for me to keep diving into again and again. There's this psychologist, Dr. Dorte Bernstein. She has been kind of a pioneer for in the field of memory. She has had a lot of studies conducted on this phenomenon called involuntary memory, and it's something we experience all the time. The studies have shown that we're experiencing it more often than what you could call voluntary memory or consciously recalled memory. And this became so interesting to me, and became like such a perfect example of the kind of confusing aspects of memory, and why did I remember this? Why did it come up at this point? So I did a lot of research into that, and through that kind of found that making visual art can be a form of research itself. The paintings that I started with from that research were these really kind of abstract paintings. It was really exciting to start to work more abstractly. The process for them was so different from what I had done before. I tried to pull from what I learned about this phenomenon from my research, and I've put that into the process in an appropriate way. So I wasn't planning beforehand, like doing preliminaries, planning out the composition, the color scheme, things like that you would normally do. Instead, I was trying to draw upon those spontaneous moments and try to capture them. So the paintings became this, in my head, they're these like records, this like documentation of that experience happening. From that experience, from this research, I became really interested in these research conferences. I got into this national conference. It's called CCAC. It's a national art conference. It was really cool. I was only one of like 8 undergraduate students who was invited to go. That experience, opened more doors. It was so interesting. And from that, combined with my experience here at UVU, I knew that I wanted to continue my education. I've just learned to keep like such an open mind about where experiences can lead you, and to stay kind of flexible in that. UVU is a place for exploring. I've learned a lot about myself through my experience at UVU, and I don't think that I would be in a place on a self-confidence place, on a self-knowing place that I am now if I hadn't come to UVU.